Home prices have begun falling, or have they? Jeremy Knight, the Night Group, your favorite Austin realtor. This article from Realtor.com just came out talking about the home prices had begun falling. Here's the cities where they're falling the most. Okay, so I went through this article, and right about the same time that I saw this article, I actually had a client tell me, hey, Jeremy, we're gonna hold off because we're seeing prices come down. And I thought, okay, well, let me look into this. So I'm gonna go through today and talk about what we found in this, because there's some really good information that I think you as a consumer should know about where prices are coming down, how they're coming down, and if they're coming down. Also, where to find some of these price decreases. I got the info right here. Make sure you drop a comment below. I do wanna hear from you. Are you seeing prices come down? Have you seen craziness? Just write a funny comment, and maybe you're gonna write a comment like, hey, Jeremy, we're finally ready to work with you and your team because we're ready. Drop that comment below too. Okay, so our price is really coming down. So in the Austin area, over the last week, my team put like 5 or 6 homes under contract, and not one of them was really below list price. We still have multiple offers on a couple. We actually got some builder contracts at list price, which was fantastic, and one of our listings went over list price. So in the last week, we put a lot under contract and didn't really see prices coming down. So I did look into where prices are coming down and how they're coming down. Okay, so reading this article, I found some really interesting things. Number one, they're saying that part of the reason why some of these metros are seeing prices decrease is the fact that there's smaller and less expensive homes hitting the market, so it's bringing prices down. I found that a little bit interesting. You know, last year I started tracking the numbers and putting together this graph. And what I said several times, according to this graph in Austin, is the highest we saw in the middle of last year was a 575 price point. And a lot of markets saw this huge uptick in prices and then a dramatic drop in prices in August. And I've been saying for the last year is that if we don't get over 575 by July or June, that we'll start seeing negative prices for the first time in a long time, because if you're looking at the year over year, I think if you're an agent in one of these markets, and if you know an agent in one of these markets that is on this list, have them watch this video and let me know if this is actually what's happening in their market. But we saw such a huge increase last year. If prices didn't catch back up to that, because they did drop at the end of the year, then we were gonna see negative prices. And I said that several times earlier on my channel, because in the Austin area, it went all the way up from 565 to about 625. How we had not seen that huge jump, we might see negative numbers. So that's pretty interesting to look at. So I'm guessing that's what we're seeing in some of these markets. Now, there are price decreases, and I'm gonna go through what those price decreases are, because I went through the numbers. I got you. But I mean, look at some of the areas they're talking about. Toledo, Ohio, Tulsa, Oklahoma, which Tulsa surprises me because I just had clients go there and they paid over list price on their property in Tulsa, Richmond, Virginia. But what I found really interesting in the article, 2 things I found interesting in this article. Number one, they wrote, this is not a repeat of the Great Recession when a bubble popped and prices plummeted across the country. These are mostly smaller decreases that don't portray another crash, which is pretty interesting that they wrote that in this article after saying prices are coming down, pretty clickbaity. But a lot of these price decreases aren't very big. The biggest one really was Toledo, Ohio, 18%. But if you go down to like number 7 on the list, LA, what I found kind of, I don't know, maybe you found it differently, but it says, given the prices in LA are already unreachable for so many buyers, the hike in interest rates has forced a lot of wannabe home buyers out of the market. I found that kind of rude, because if you're a home buyer and you're trying to buy a home, you're not a wannabe buyer. I found that interesting. But yeah, LA is about 5% decreased, but they also were part of that where they saw such a huge increase. And now with interest rates going up so high, I could definitely see where LA is definitely flattening out, and we're seeing this right here. So what are we seeing in the Austin area? Well, I started tracking this a couple months ago, and what I was seeing on a week-to-week basis, that we were seeing about 10 to 12% of homes price decrease. Back then we had about 2,000 listings on the market, and we saw X amount that were price decreased, which ended up being 12%. This last week, we went up to 3,000 homes on the market. It was about 3,100 homes, and we saw about 370 of those homes price decrease, which was still about 12%. So what I think people are seeing is when they see more homes price decrease, as we see more inventory, you will see more price decreases. So that is something I'm seeing. And let's be honest, I went through and looked at the closed data so far for the month of April, and it's pretty interesting. Here's what I saw. For the most part, the median for single family homes was about 703. And with everything else, it was about 660. So we are going to see for the April numbers well over that 624 mark as the median for the Austin area. And thank you to the person that wrote the comment that said that the median that we put out for the numbers is for everything, condos, townhouses, everything. It's not the actual single family homes. That's actually higher. But here's what I looked through when I saw, and you'll be pretty interested with this, is that I saw that builders made up 22% of the price drops. Yes, this is pretty interesting. And you're probably going to say, Jeremy, which builders was it? Where can I find a deal? I'm going to start being a little more selective on the information I give because so many people ask me for free info. I'm going to try to keep some more info for my clients. So one of the builders I did see was down in La Cima, which is San Marcos, which I saw pretty big price decreases, which is Highland. There's some other ones that we did see, and one of those actually we got a client under contract with. So I'm going to just let you know, 22% of the decreases were actually builders. Now, the concern with builders is the fact that they're building so many inventory homes that they might flood the market towards the middle of the year and crash the market. I think that is possible, but I think builders are being very selective because what we're seeing is the stuff that's price decreasing right now, that's inventory, is still 4 or 5 months from being built. And I think they're overpricing a little bit, so they're having to come down. So here's what I saw next that was really interesting in the Austin market, and that is the fact that Opendoor made up 16% of the price decreases in our area. That's pretty freaking huge because Opendoor was buying up a lot of these properties and then trying to sell them for really, really high. And I've had clients, we've walked through some of these Opendoor properties, comparing it to a resale home down the street. Night and day difference in the quality of that build. So that's something that we've been seeing for a while, is just like Opendoor's quality. In fact, I did a video, I'll put it somewhere right here, about Opendoor and their quality, so you can watch that as well. So that's pretty interesting. That's a lot of inventory. It was almost like 62, I think, listings out of the 370 total. So what else was I seeing in the homes that were price decreasing? Number one, pretty much a lot of the homes I saw were just completely overpriced. I saw a lot of homes in the luxury price points that were just probably about $200,000 overpriced. In fact, I had one client that was looking at a home listed at $2.7 million, and we were looking at it going, had they priced this home at 2.5, it could have sold for probably 2.6 to 2.7, but they priced it at 2.7, and now they price reduced it 2 weeks later. I'm seeing a lot of that. The other thing I'm seeing is a lot of homes with like really bad photos, people that just did not take the time to stage. You don't have to just spend a lot of money in staging, but just make the house look good in the photos. A lot of that is what I was seeing, and those looked a little overpriced to me as well. Now, I can't say that every single home that price decreased was just overpriced, but what I can say is that a lot of the stuff I saw, had my clients and I walked into it at the price it had priced at, we probably would have passed, because we would have said, okay, if we're gonna have to go over list price on this property, it's not gonna be worth it. And when I went through the close data for April, what I was seeing is that there were quite a few homes that were selling under list price. Not a lot, but definitely a few. And if I were to pick some of those apart, I bet I could show you that they were overpriced to begin with. So this is something I've been telling sellers for a while, is don't overprice your property, price it where the market's saying, and it'll sell really high and over list price. I want to bring up a really important article that I found, and I think there's really good information here. And I think if you're going to read some articles and the headline's super catchy, just like the titles on my videos, you really should read the full article to get the full scale of what's happening. Because this one by Fortune says, another housing bubble, we're skating close to this one. And what I found interesting was this line right here. But even if we are in a housing bubble, the Dallas Fed researchers don't think it will be a 2008 repeat. For starters, homeowners are in much better shape now than they were heading into 2008 meltdown. That was pretty important because I think so many people are just caught up on 2008 that they think prices are going to come down a lot. And I've been saying this for a while. By the time prices come down, what's the difference between how high they go and how much they come down? Do you actually save any money, especially with interest rates going up as fast as they've gone up? The other thing that I found really interesting in this article is that they're saying that people in the past were paying about 24% of their monthly income on their mortgage. Now it's 31%. And I want to make a pretty big clarification here. Last week, I did a whole video about the taxes coming out. I think a lot of people are paying more for their mortgage. Number one, prices have gone up, but they're going to be paying more for their mortgage because of property taxes, especially in the Texas area, in Austin area, wherever, Dallas, wherever. They're going to be spending more money on property taxes than they were previously. And this is definitely going to be a big problem in the Austin market. So what do you think? Drop a comment below. Do you need me? Reach out to me. Info is in the link below.